Well, you don't see a lot of home growers jumping onto or commercial growers jumping onto the trends that the home growers do. We can buy one light and add it to our system. We can maybe two if it's under canopy, but the only things that I could see everyone getting is something like that UVC. That was at the GML booth. That was crazy. They had essentially cancer-causing light to murder your pests and every pest that's there, but it essentially being UVC where it's gonna fry the bug in there. Only putting it in, what was it, like like an hour at night? They were saying something like that. I don't even understand the technology. I know Envy was breaking it down to you a little bit more. You remember?
I remember some of it. UVC. I forget what the nanometers are for it, but it definitely battles against common pests that people come across, spider mites, fungus gnats, just to name a few. He was mentioning, and not just shining it downward, going up towards the bottom of the leaves, right? Whereas a lot of pests congregate, but shining down from the leaves down onto the soil as well, and kind of treating the soil. So applying it a couple different ways. I thought that piece was pretty interesting about it.
When he's saying like it would still kill off some of your beneficials, but nothing deep in the soil. But he's talking aphids even too. And that's organic, synthetic, doesn't matter. A lot of people running those little flying pests that drive everyone nuts. When you're looking at the plant, you're like, and somehow it's just coming at you. It's just like, come get at me every time. There's a big difference nowadays with people adding supplemental light for yield versus IPM. And I never realized lighting for IPM was even a thing. Do you think this is like, that would be one I think is arguable that every place could use, commercial or home grow? Do you think that's the investment worth it more, or getting the under canopy lighting? Because that underneath area is going to start getting crazy if we're adding all this shit in here.
Yeah, I would say the pest control aspect is going to be where it's going to be go to, because how amazing is that? Even though if it does kill a few beneficials, it's okay, because like what that light's doing is killing everything, so really don't need those beneficials anymore. But it will still keep your worms alive. If you're an organic grower, it's not going to harm your worms or anything like that. They're also going to be down there decomposing all the organic material, so like they're eating it all up, right? So that's one good thing. I think it's going to go in the direction of an IPM use for sure.
Yeah, and I heard, I was first introduced to this type of lighting for pest prevention or pest combating probably like 2 years ago now. There was a company called Intralight. And I don't know if you guys remember them, but they released it, and it did pretty well, but they kind of fell off the scene. I don't really know. I haven't heard a peep from them, so I'm not sure if they're even still around at this point. But going to the conference and seeing that other companies now jumping on that same concept, it's not surprising. It's not surprising. And yeah, I completely agree with you. I feel like a lot more people are going to be having this in their grow space, because it does prevent you from having to do sprays. That was one of the things that Spartan said. He's like, you don't have, spraying is kind of a pain. It can be a pain at times. So if you don't have to do it, if you can just have that light shining on there, a little bit easier in the grow room.
What about the trichomes there? Could this be the solution for those who are saying, what do I do when I have mites 6 weeks into flower? Did he say anything about trichome degradation with the UVC?
He didn't say anything about it, but you won't have bugs at that point.
I'm hoping if you had that light before.
Well, yeah, before, but I'm saying that would be when someone's saying, hey, dude, what do I do? I'm 6 weeks into flower, 8 weeks into flower. Should I just kill my plant? I'd be like, no, dude, order some of these UVC and run them at night for 3 hours for the next week, and you should be able to kill them off and get rid of. Like, do you think that would be the solution? Because that's a game changer in my mind.
You're onto something. I don't think the mites at week 6 is the right example.
Yeah. It just depends
only because then you're like, these are so in your
flying
plant.
root aphids.
Sure.
So that might get, like, I've had aphids that if I got a limonene cultivar that is limonene, they'll go onto my plant and die. They'll literally go onto it and die. So my bud's unusable. I'm throwing it away. It's nasty. It'll be covered in these little winged pieces of shit. What about that? You think that would been that? So that, just any example, deathly bugs. Would it kill your trichomes also? Do you know the UVC? If you're listening or watching, drop a comment on YouTube and let us know. There may be some science, because like that would be my argument then of these are the guaranteed purchase of 2025 for a home grower. Yeah, beneficial ones can do it, take care of it for you, but dude, if I could just use this a couple times a week and fry everything out, that's a game changer.
I'm thinking too, it might be too late to recommend the light as IPM if the pests are already there. But if somebody's living in an area, I know you deal with, is it aphids or is it?
Mostly fungus gnats.
Gnats. I'm thinking if you know you're in an area where you're going to have gnats, you're going to have something, then knowing that, go forward, grab the light. So in going into your next grows, it's not something you have to worry about. It now becomes a part of the IPM process rather than becoming a fix to the problem.
Yeah, well, and like I mean, I didn't see the price point on that one, but GML specifically had some light prices that were blowing my mind. I wonder how much it's going to cost, because the supplemental lighting, the argument is always 30% increase in yield. Well, 30% increase in cost too, because I'm buying these lights and I'm using the electricity. You think, So like, yeah, I'm getting more, but I'm spending more. So where's my ROI? When am I positive on this? Versus these are going to make sure that you're not having any pests that ruin your crop.
Yeah, 100%.
But then where do you stop? Again, where do you stop crisscrossing your lights and your under canopy that you've done all this work for, and you've got now 3-4 lights under there? And then your electricity consumption, I can't even stutter. Today, Junior, there's a lot of people who that's their limitation. They don't have any more outlets. Their electricity usage is too high. Are these low enough time that you'll use them, or low enough wattage that you think it's worth the investment?
Sounds like it. Yeah, I don't think they're pulling that much. I mean, I can't imagine that they're pulling over 100 watts for. It seemed like it was a small bar, right? So kind of explaining what it looks like. It's kind of like a bar, one single bar, similar to like the what's the AC Infinity ones?
Like the tent
ion
lights kind of
beams?
thing.
The ion beams, yeah, it's like a bar like that basically is what it showed. So you got to imagine that it's got to be low wattage.
Yeah,
20,
150 watts at the
40
most.
watts.
It has.
Well, they had some big ones though too.
They did have big ones.
Yeah.
I didn't see.
Of course they would.
For
right?
commercial.
Commercial growth.
It has to be affordable. When you've got companies like Spider Farmer, Vivo, Mars, and you could probably name 10 more that I haven't even heard of yet, that are coming out of the Asian market that are affordable. You know what I mean? You can't tell me that we're going to incorporate pest management and now I'm going to pay $5,000 a light. Now I'll just get a bottle of neem oil.
Yeah, and I think this is where the argument comes into play. Are other alternatives? If I'm already going to have nematodes, I'm already going to have things in my soil. Do I need to use something like that? I think no, honestly. It's maybe for somebody who's doing it for preventative measures, or again, we're so far along into flower that I can't spray anything. That's the only thing that makes sense to me.
Don't they have to only be on for an hour?
That's what for the UVC lights, that's what he was saying, is you run them at night when you're not running your other lights for, I believe, what was an hour?
I don't remember. I thought it was shorter than that, but
Yeah.
Maybe it was 30 minutes, because I remember it was something 3 or 30. I don't know.
So
There was a lot
that's
going on.
nothing for consumption power wise. Like if you're just gonna run that thing for like half an hour for an hour each day, like you're not even gonna notice that really, especially if your other stuff's off.
So that's where I think that may be the new purchase of 2025.
If it doesn't cost too much money. That was my point.
Yeah.
Is that like I could get a bottle of neem, some rosemary oil, and some peppermint oil for $11.
Yeah.
So if you're telling me that this light and bird speed, like I want to see this kind of technology advance, but it's like you can't. It has to be affordable.
Yeah. It almost seems like it's still just like under canopy lighting. The guarantee is commercial grows, because we're talking profit and predictability. Home grow, we can do more that I'm not worried about testing in a lab and them being like, oh, this has trace minerals XYZ. I'm just smoking it. But at the same time, this does alleviate a lot of the stress when you're going into a garden that does have organic inputs, and you may have bugs that come out of it. And you're like, I want to make sure that I don't ruin my crop.
This FTS clip was brought to you by AC Infinity, leaders in garden innovation. Use discount code TheStash15 at checkout to save some money on your order.
From the Stash Podcast.